You are listening to Quarters and Barra. I am Glenn Quartermain, senior sports writer with the West Australian, the man with very small hands. With me is Adrian Barrett of Channel 7, West Coast Eagles and Perth Football Club fame. We are brought to you by Tab Touch. Got the touch? Download the Tab Touch app today. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Barra. Let's talk right from the opening about the mighty purple dream.
I agree. A lot of people on social media have been contacting me saying they may not listen this week because they don't want to hear all the Harley Poporama that I'm going to carry on about with. So let's start with Fremantle, mate, honestly.
I thought the first 5 minutes it was going to be a very much a one-way street in Melbourne's favour, but it completely flipped on its head. And two things about it. It was a mighty performance from Freo, very balanced performance, great shape in defence, great midfield performance, and the forwards all clicked and kicked accurately. And Melbourne, it was one of the most pathetic performances I've seen for a long time. A lot of footage of the players after the game and during not chasing. The only bloke I'll give an out to, well, I'll give a couple. One is Max Gawn, and the other, I reckon Steve May was pretty sore. I reckon he copped one in the ribs early.
Yeah.
But apart from that...
he got towelled.
Yeah, he got towelled.
He got absolutely towelled.
Everyone got towelled.
Amos took mark of the year on him.
Yeah.
And
Was it a mark?
And Tracy outmarked him as well.
Was that a mark?
Mate, he had a Barry Crocker. Don't stick up for Stephen, mate.
No, I'm sticking up for Stephen.
Shocker, mate.
Yeah.
And even if Lever was there, they would have pantsed him.
Yeah.
The Dockers, well done, Dockers. 92 points. You don't flog Melbourne, allegedly a premiership contender, in round 12 like that on their second favourite ground after that's their second home almost. They looked like the Demons had overtrained or had COVID or something, except they hadn't. They just got absolutely monstered by young, enthusiastic, quick, very good Dockers players, led by Jordan Clark, 35 possessions, on fire, stunning goal. The salute, Geordie, if you're listening, mate, I friggin' loved it. The salute, he just in the first quarter gave the woof like that. 151 points in the bloody fantasy games. Gave his boots away at the end. He sort of hobbled off and people thought he was injured. He just got cut down the back of his Achilles. And he gave his boots to some Indigenous kids after the game.
I would love that.
I would have kept them. I'd give you the tip after the way he played. I would have framed them or something.
Oh, they might use them for inspiration.
We might be a bit big. Stephen May, outmarked by Amos and Tracy. It was the old guard just getting a lesson from the new breed. Move over, Grandad Viney and Grandad May and Grandad Oliver.
Gee, the midfield was very poor for Melbourne, wasn't it?
And Petrarca was in there too. Sarong, Brayshaw, Young, Dogger, Jackson, Darcy, smashed him. I mean...
Yeah, I thought Gawn... did his best for that team, as he always does.
I
thought
his best,
you
but
can't.
he got
11. I think what do you have? 11 contested possessions, and he had a crack.
Mate, they lost by 92
Yeah, I know.
points. You can do whatever you like to try to stick up for your premiership contender.
Hey, I'm not sticking up for anyone. I'm just sticking up for Max Gawn because I thought he tried his hardest.
Mate, forget about it. Luke Ryan in every elite category in the AFL now. Absolute superstar, Luke Ryan, and should be in All-Australian contention. Looks like they wiped away their yips too, their conversion issues, kicked 5-2 in the first quarter, 11-5 to half-time. Freo had been ranked last for accuracy, but now it feels like maybe they've got rid of those yips, and the ceiling is high. I reckon, you know what they should do? They should aim for top four.
Of course they should aim for top four.
But like amongst the group, there should be... Boys, let's go for top four now. We can do this. We are bloody good. Put that down as a goal amongst the team. Don't publicise it. Don't leak it to the media. Don't let any of us get onto it because, we'll beat the crap out of it and turn it on you. But just do it. At the Eagles, we had never lose at home. Put it in your locker. Write it up. Give it to everyone. Never lose at home. Never lose 2 in a row. Finish top 2. They were the Eagles' 3 big goals during their heyday. I reckon now's the time to turn the heat up and go, you know what, we can do this. We can finish top 4. Do you think they're a chance?
Yeah, I do.
I think they can get there now. It's so even. Apart from Sydney, everybody, Essendon's second and they didn't look that great against the Gold Coast.
No.
Geelong's...
I don't know if Essendon's a false second, though. I really don't. I think...
Think they are?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Who should be second then? Because Geelong struggling a bit. Port Adelaide didn't look super.
It's a really good question.
Carlton have I mean, they're coming, Carlton, so they can aim for top 4. Fremantle 6. GWS slid to 7th. Gold Coast is now in the 8. Collingwood 9th. Melbourne 10th.
Geelong found a way, and, found a way against Richmond, who were just decimated, so that was hardly convincing. But it's very open. And
I'll give you the tip. If the Hawks had one or two more wins, you'd be...
Port Adelaide could have beaten Collingwood, should have beaten Port, so that puts you very much on the...
Be in the 8.
Yeah, I know.
And now they run into...
GWS in Tassie, though.
But after that, they've got to go up against the Tigers in Dusty's 300th.
Yeah.
So I see they're resting him this week.
We'll talk about that in a moment. I just wanted to touch on Freo as well. We've mentioned a few of them. We've mentioned Clark, Ryan. I wanted to mention Hayden Young.
Brilliant.
Terrific performance, metres gained. Look, among others, I think you're right, Amos. It's good to see him kicking straight, gaining a bit of confidence. My man, Josh Tracy.
This is an important cyclone warning.
I just want to mention another great game from Josh Tracy, really presenting like an old-fashioned centre-half forward.
Mate, he looks good.
He does look good. He really does.
You're onto him early, mate.
I was onto him pretty early.
You've ridden him into good form.
Oh, yeah. And Alex Pearce, of course, again in defence. And interesting now in the East, they're saying, Luke Ryan and Jordan Clark and Alex Pearce could be in All-Australian contention. Could be.
Jeepers.
Absolutely right in the mix.
Moose, as they call him, is just sensational.
So, and the other one also was Switkowski. So it's taken a few weeks to find his feet coming back from injury or coming back from that concussion. But good to see him because I think as much as their midfield is much vaunted and their forward line's got a lot of potency in there, I think he's a real connector. He's one of those very important players who can... He's a real conduit from that midfield to that forward line. So well done to Sam Switkowski. Look, things are looking up at the moment for Freo.
Yeah, well, the fact that they threw him into the middle too, you're absolutely right, made so much difference. And he does in there. So I'll tell you what, they're knocking on the door now. It's such an even... Apart from Sydney, who I noticed have signed Will Hayward today as well for 5 years. So
there are a couple of big signings over the weekend. Sam Taylor for 7 years. Will Hayward, as you said. Those long contracts now are the norm, aren't they?
Yeah. Now, I know a bit about Sam Taylor. I knew he was staying because the Eagles were big into him, massive into him, and so were Fremantle. But then he changed his manager. So he actually moved on from his West Australian manager and decided to get a bloke heavily connected with the Giants. And that, I don't know if that was the tipping point or if he'd already made up his mind. But he obviously said, you know what, I like it here. I like being in Sydney and I'm staying, which is it's a bummer for us over here because he's probably, up with Pearce and all those guys. He is almost the best defender in the AFL, isn't he? Mm. And hard to beat all over the shop. So, yeah, so it's a pity he's staying.
You mentioned Dusty earlier. I smell a bit of a rat here. I'm not calling him a rat, but I don't know. I can't really swallow this one, mate. He's ill now, and he's not playing this weekend. So he's due to play his 300th now in Melbourne the following week against Hawthorn. But I don't know, mate. For me, if you're fit and you're decimated by injury as the Tigers are, you play.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to go to Adelaide on Thursday night and play his 300th. Come on. You're a well-paid professional footballer. Play. The team needs you.
Do you reckon that doesn't sound like a Dusty thing to do, though? It sounds like a club thing.
Well, I don't know, mate. Look, it's all well and good.
He looked good on the weekend. He played well on the weekend.
Well, they need him more than ever.
Are you filthy because it's Hawthorn?
No, not at all. No. We saw Lafau at the weekend go down with an ACL. I really felt sorry for him because he's had he's had a really good year. Yeah, it's an ACL.
Oh, I didn't realise.
He's had a really good year, and
that marking contest.
Yeah, when he fell hyperextended.
He did his knee.
Yeah.
Oh, jeepers. Gee, that is a blow for the Tigers.
That's 5 ACLs this year. I mean, we know Brisbane's had a lot of them as well, but Richmond's been affected more than anyone. And Adamuze, I think, has done it's going to sound weird because they're sitting second last with one win, but they've been pretty competitive, most weeks. And he's done well first year of coaching to really show some positivity amid it because it's carnage there.
I mean, they're going to finish second last, but still, 150. I think there's 150 something injuries in the AFL at the moment.
Wow,
150, like record numbers. So maybe they need to look at that. All right, you ready, mate?
Oh, the Harley?
Have we done enough?
Well, we can talk about Harley. first things first, do I feel sorry for either him or Sam Darcy? No, I don't. But
Jeez, that's a bit harsh.
no,
mate.
I don't really,
What is-
because
what's that?
you're out there and you've sling tackled a bloke, and it was a dangerous tackle, so he deserves to be suspended. I will put a caveat on it though, Barra. I think it's time not only for the Rising Star Award but also for the Brownlow to take out this ineligibility through suspension. The rules have been tweaked. You know, you can now be suspended for matters that are a little, less serious than they were in
But
yesteryear.
you're saying that it was a serious.
I'm
thing.
saying that he deserves not to be eligible because I think that was a
right.
silly
So
tackle.
you're talking about other
but
incidents.
I'm just saying, no, what I'm saying is any instance, I think the punishment for...
So let me clarify
Yep.
this. Was Harley's a serious enough one not to be a best and fairest?
It was a serious enough one for him to get a 2-week suspension. And I know they're challenging it, and they may get it down to 1. I'd be surprised if they do, by the way. What I'm saying is I think you should be eligible for the Rising Star and the Brownlow if you have been suspended. I think we need to change it now.
Right.
Because I think the impact of missing weeks is big enough. If you miss 2, 3, 4
Yeah,
weeks through
that's true.
suspension, there's 2, 3, 4 weeks you're not getting votes. So
But you don't want a bloke who king hit someone.
no, you don't.
So
But-
how do you do it?
Well,
Quarters?
I reckon if you king hit someone these days, you're going to get a pretty lengthy spell, so you're probably not going to win it. And I don't know. I just think I'd hate to see someone, and I'm not saying Harley's was trivial, but I'm saying I'd hate to see someone go for like
Corey McKernan.
an act,
For a
Corey
Corey McKernan.
McKernan type of action, yeah.
So you're saying you need a new definition of fairest,
Oh, yeah, I think so.
like clarifying what is
Do
fair.
you
and
agree
what's-
with me though? Now you can get suspended for
Yeah, well, concussion. I think concussion has changed.
It
everything.
has.
And I'm not just saying that because Harley's missed out and because the fella from the Bulldogs has missed out as well. I mean, because the bloke who wins at the Rising Star this year is going to have this big asterisk, isn't he? Really?
I thought Darcy's was worse. By the way, it's ironic Maynard was the player he cannoned into, but
Why was that
well,
ironic?
because the last year's final series with Angus Brayshaw.
Yeah, and
Well, Maynard shouldn't have played in that
so
grand
he
final.
deserved it, did he?
No, I'm not saying he deserved it. I said there's just a twist of irony to it,
The
Barra.
irony is, I don't think that's irony.
Oh, I think
Well,
it is a
mate,
little
you
bit.
We can Google irony in a
Yeah,
minute. But,
well, we can do that. And
I think a lot of people were happy about it.
I think Harley's was really, really, really clumsy, and it was just a bad tackle. And he actually put his opponent, who, by the way, is eligible for the Rising Star Award, at the risk of serious injury. That was a pretty heavy impact with his head on the ground.
But he wasn't concussed or anything. He
No,
played on.
but
So,
yeah, but you
so
can
that's the judgment, isn't it? He didn't even get tested.
Well,
So you
we
can.
saw Barras cop a week earlier in the year, and
Well, we've all hit our head on the turf.
Yeah.
In our days, it was better because it was softer. I got to say, but
I think we need to outlaw the action, Barra, because we're so serious about concussion now as we should be. So I'm quite comfortable with him missing weeks for that.
now, so who wins it now? Wardlaw or
I think Wardlaw, who was my tip in the pre-season, and I
Wilson?
say
Was
that
it Wilson?
I say that in the knowledge that clearly Harley Reed and Sam Darcy have gone past him in terms of who should win it, but I think Wardlaw's a big chance. Wilson's a big chance. Yeah, I think Wardlaw, even though they haven't won any games yet, don't underestimate him. He's a good player.
Yeah. So I think what happens now is they don't get any more votes,
No.
do they? Darcy or Reed. So it's not going to be on the day when they announce the Rising Star. It's not going to be, oh, the winner is Harley Reed, but he's ineligible, and the second is Darcy, but he's ineligible. So it's not going to be the full Bradbury, but it's a little bit of a Bradbury.
Oh,
isn't
no,
it?
it's more than a little bit of a Bradbury.
You know
be
what I
honest.
mean? And so that's what I don't like. It just takes.
It's a full Bradbury.
It's going to take that. He's going to carry that around, that poor kid, all the time.
Oh, I don't know
You're
if
the
they'll
guy.
carry-
You
Not
won the
really.
rising. You were the Rising Star, but you weren't really.
I reckon I don't think he'll carry it around. I think it's a bit different to like the Sam Mitchell, Trent Cotchin situation, where Joe Watson gets the Brownlow removed and then you win it. I think if you just win it and you know the lead up,
Yeah,
I
that's
think it's okay.
certainly better.
It's not
I mean-
that kid's. Whoever wins, it's not their fault. It's-
Who won when Corey McKernan missed
Oh,
out?
geez, you're testing me now. God,
So Corey McKernan.
that was the Boer War. That was that long ago.
He tripped somebody, didn't he?
Yeah.
And also Chris
Chris Grant.
Grant was the other
So
one.
they were the Brownlow.
So we can't even remember those blokes who won.
Brownlow. I reckon Chris
I
Grant.
remember the guys who
was-
missed out.
Was 97 was Grant?
Yeah, see, that just shows our point.
Fair
that
while ago.
Wardlaw's going to be forgotten. And so I think some way we've got to have a fairer definition of fairest because I think everyone agrees.
So you agree with me?
I mean, you're saying that Harley's deserved. In any situation he shouldn't have got. He should miss out, right?
I'm saying he should be suspended. But
You're saying he shouldn't be eligible, right?
No, I'm saying he should. I'm saying that.
What are you saying?
Next year, the rules need to change so that he would still be eligible.
Oh, you think he should still be eligible?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about Darcy?
Same, but next year. This is next year.
Oh,
I don't
so
like.
how bad does it have to be to not be eligible?
I don't. Well, you're going to miss several weeks.
I
if
see.
it's bad.
You reckon there's in no circumstance do you get rubbed out?
Well, you can't, because if you're going to miss 4 or 5 weeks, you're not winning the Brownlow. You're winning the Rising Star.
What if you do, mate?
Well, then you've won it, haven't you? I mean, there's
How
been...
bad does that look? You've belted someone.
Well, Dipper and Liberatore won a Brownlow, mate.
Yeah, and so did Plugger, by the way.
There you go. So, but look, I just think
that's interesting.
Yeah.
You're sort of you've flipped a bit there, haven't you?
not in
because you don't really want to celebrate blokes that have whacked someone.
No, I just think we've got to be aware of the rule changes now.
I
focus now.
I think there's a
concussion.
line. So they need to move the line. It's too deep now. Because these penalties that are happening for what we would consider, well, in the old days, what Harley did, you would have got a pat on your back and a big pump up by the coach. Now no, you can't do that. And he was a little bit frustrated, and I think the Eagles really have to take care of that.
Well, the midfielders need to look after him a bit better, and he's going to be tagged.
Yeah, so
it's part of it.
Matt Flynn came out and admitted that they need to get around him more, and particularly when he's being tagged. And it is a great shock when you get tagged for the first time. I remember Peter Matera adjusting to it and just saying, "I'll just rely on my ability to beat." You just can't do it. I mean, they're just in your face. So you've got to take energy out of the taggers' bodies. You got to get around the young fella and tell him not to get frustrated. Yoey's got a big role to play there too. The ruckman's got to. I mean, it used to be you'd say, run him past me. The Woosher would go, run him past me, mate, I'll fix him. And they'd put one through his thigh, or whatever. And that made you were less likely to want to tag then. But then they got bigger, like Crowley got bigger and the bloke at Geelong, what's his
Cameron
name?
Ling.
They were big guys.
By the way, good effort by Marcus Windhager. It was a great effort. They were looking like they were going to lose that match at half time, and it was a good move by a good coach. And, yeah, well done, Marcus Windhager.
And
played within the rules.
And what did you think of them not being able to get up West Coast in the end?
Look, I wasn't surprised. It was that sort of a game, wasn't it? No one really got away from the other team. It was funny. It was a funny old game. St Kilda dominated the opening 10 minutes, and then the Eagles fought their way back into it. That happened every quarter until the last, when St Kilda just kept going and managed to pretty much dominate that final term. So I wasn't surprised that it went that way in game, because it was there was never really.
Did you change your tip?
No, I would have still picked West Coast at home, because their form at home's been pretty good.
Even when you heard that Waterman was out?
Oh, well, I'd already put my tip in by then, mate.
Yeah, but you can change on the app, you know that.
Oh, no, mate, once they're in, they're in.
Oh, so you're in, they're in, man.
Yeah, well, once they're in the paper, that's it for me. I'm a lock.
A lot of people changed, I believe.
Yeah, well, good on them.
As soon as they
Happy for them, Barra.
Because Kelly went out, and then Waterman went out.
Yeah, Waterman if Waterman plays, they win.
Mate, it's a bloody big.
Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
mate. It was, and their forward line. They were struggling. I mean, Jack did okay as well. Who kicked their goals in the end? Let's have a look. Oh, Cripsy kicked 3. Oh, Liam Ryan's come good. Darling kicked a couple. Gaffey got one.
So, if we want to focus on a couple of the positives there, I thought Liam Ryan's game was really promising for them. I think
Got his pace back.
Yeah, I think so. Barras in the back half. I thought
Super.
Yeah.
And Gov.
Yeah, Gov was good back there too. So there was things to like about the team. What did you? What about Aussie the Eagle?
Yeah, big controversy, mate. He's got a lot of he's got good taste, old Aussie, because I saw he lobbed in Nigel Sadley's box.
Oh, did he?
So,
after a steak or something, was he?
I think he was after the Barra.
Oh,
sorry, the Barra. He was after the Barra. And then he moved on to, I think Ben Wyatt took a photo of him, the Eagles director as well, in his box as well. So
I felt sorry for
bird.
him.
Apparently it's a new bird.
I felt sorry for Aussie. I mean, he'd be petrified. There's 50,000 people there. He didn't ask to be in captivity. I'm sorry, mate, but I felt sorry for him.
And the handlers were saying that apparently he normally has like a little camera on.
Yeah, he did. They removed the GoPro.
And once the GoPro's gone, it's go for Aussie.
Yeah, because he'd had his feed, hadn't he? And then off he went.
But it was
again.
a new bird, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm tipping it may not be the bird next time.
Well, are they going to continue with Aussie?
Oh, it didn't delay the game. So,
Well, it could have.
Yeah, I know. The AFL
It was quite bizarre when you were there, and I'm not trivialising it, but when you were there, it's St Kilda's run out in the ground, West Coast run out in the ground. This eagle is still soaring around the place. I'm thinking, this game is going to be delayed by an eagle. You know, that's the second most bizarre thing I've seen before a game.
The second most?
Yeah.
I can't wait for the best one.
Yeah.
What is it?
1990s VFL Park. The Carlton team runs out in the ground through the banner, and the huge banner pole hits John Torridge on the shoulder. And I'm looking at it through the binoculars, and I've said to the person next to me, I think that banner pole just hit Dora on the shoulder. And he's holding his shoulder, did not play. I think he was out there for about 2 minutes and then just signalled to the runner, I'm no good here. So you can be unlucky.
That's brilliant. We should do talk. We could do talk back on this because I reckon the other best one was when the elephant got loose.
That was at Arden Street. Yeah, okay, and that was promoting a travelling zoo.
You got to set this up properly because people will be listening. One have never heard of these ovals. Two, can't believe stuff like elephants are on the oval.
So Arden Street wasn't a big ground, and it was about 1979, I reckon. And they were.
So it's a VFL game, right?
VFL game, yeah. I can't tell you
North
who North
Melbourne
was playing.
versus somebody.
So Arden Street's like, obviously, as it would suggest, north of Melbourne, but it's like wedged in with these gasometers on one side. It's not a big ground.
And one of their players was named after those. What's
Nolan.
a gasometer, by the way?
Mick Nolan. Oh, it's somewhere where you store gas barrel.
A giant big gas thing, is it?
So
right.
Mick Nolan was called the galloping gasometer. He was quite large.
Looked like one of them.
Yeah. But anyway, they had this visiting zoo nearby, so they thought they'd do a bit of a pre-game, advertisement. So this handler's
It was a circus, actually. It was a circus.
Yeah. Sorry, I said a zoo. That's what I'm talking about. A visiting circus. Anyway, this bloke's riding this elephant round.
This is true.
It got frightened by the crowd, and it went rogue. This thing. So you reckon you're worried about an eagle swooping down and picking up your sandwich, mate? I think when there's an elephant charging at you, when you've got
it was the funniest thing ever. Where there's a bloke on the back of the elephant.
Yeah, he didn't know what to do.
He's trying to get control of an elephant, and he's just charging around the boundary. Imagine the holes it was putting in the ground.
Oh yeah.
This actually happened in a game.
It did,
mate. And the other best one was when I was out there in '91. Unceremoniously missing out on the 91 grand final, having to sit out there with Angry Anderson, and they couldn't get the Batmobile to start. So it looked like they might have to delay the game because the Batmobile.
Deeks and Lisa Ondieki, and who else was in there?
Not fighting Harada, the bloke who fought him. Lionel Rose.
Yeah, okay.
Jeff Fennick. Mate, it was.
I love
We've
the
spoken
Batmobile.
about this. It was one of the funniest things of all time, but they couldn't get it going because it wasn't exactly a car. But, mate, that elephant story, we've got to get some vision out of that.
And of course, you had the pig at the MCG, Plugger.
Yeah.
Remember Plugger was released onto the MCG?
Scotty Waters had something to do with that, didn't
did he?
Yeah, painting the number on. How did they get a pig into the SCG?
Oh, no, that's
It's
the
a piglet.
question.
It was only a piglet, though.
But that's the question. It must be up your jumper or something. I don't know.
Oh, mate, more talk back. Now, I was going to say, we're talking about the Eagles' forward line.
Yep.
And, so suddenly this week looks like Waterman comes back.
Yep.
After the bye, they get Oscar Allen. And at Northam on Sunday, I witnessed Jack Hutchinson.
Yes.
Jeez, Jack, you bloody wanker. So he flies in. How's this right? He flies in from Collingwood reserves.
He's done the Brian Peak.
Yeah, that's right.
Flown into Northam.
He didn't get the chopper.
If he's going to Northam, it should have been hot air balloon.
He didn't get the balloon or the chopper up, mate. Brian Peake got a chopper to Geelong training and embarrassed himself. He wasn't that good at Geelong either, by the way, not as good as when he was here. But anyway, so Jack Hutchinson flies into Perth Friday, meets the boys. G'day, I'm Jack. G'day. Okay, we're getting on a bus on Sunday and we're going to Northam, or Northam as he called it, to play the Perth Footy Club, my club, which I'd organised the game with Don Pike and the Footy Commission. Lots of great. It was great. 4,000 people turned out, and bloody Jack kicks 5. He's to Perth. What a wanker. Honestly. Well, you could have
Is he a
Jack,
wanker?
you could have gone a bit easy, mate.
No, he couldn't. He's
locked
trying to
in
do his
there.
best to impress his new teammates.
So now he's suddenly neck and neck with Ryan Marrick for a spot in the team. And Ryan's going to get necked anyway when Oscar comes back. So it's a silly chance that Jack comes in.
It's interesting. There's a squeeze. You've also got Jack Williams in there, who was a last-minute reprieve at the weekend when Jake was out.
Yep.
With Oscar coming back, and Jack Darling might feel the pressure.
Yeah, we could do. Yeah, well, if you want to promote, I had a close look at Jack Hutchinson. There was a few chess marks, so it wasn't like he absolutely brained him. I tell you, who did brain him is Jai Cully. So I feel like Jai's ready. He had 30-odd through the middle. So I think Jai Cully comes in for the North Melbourne game. But well done to everyone. And thank you to Northam for hosting us, for having us all up there. Pikey was up there. The chairman of the board was up there. Simo came up to watch Jack Hutchinson firsthand. Benny Cousins was there. Willie Dick rejoined the club. Steve Lally, I don't know if you know
remember
these
Steve
names.
Lally, yeah.
Yeah, you remember Willie Dick?
Yeah, I remember Willie Dick, yeah.
Played for us, yeah, fantastic guy. A lot of the local legends, and the people just kept saying thanks for bringing the footy here, and so good. It was great to drive up and listen to Sunday with Macca on the ABC.
Yeah, we love it.
Did you love Macca?
I do.
Oh, mate, he's cool, that dude. And I learned how to teach a budgie to speak and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Even though I haven't got a budgie.
Okay.
So if I ever did, I'd be sweet. But mate, do you ever get into the country atmosphere and the country feel when you're driving out? Yeah.
Mate, I've just driven across Australia last Christmas. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. You would have got Macca all around Australia.
Oh, you would have been listening to a bit of it. Listen, I just wanted to mention a couple of other results. Carlton, we should mention, great win on Thursday night. Absolutely took Port Adelaide apart in the last quarter. Well done, too. A good move by Michael Voss. Zach Williams going forward. He was struggling in defence. He's gone forward. He's really found one there. So well done to Carlton. And am I a believer that they're a top four side? Well, I'm not. But the way the ladder is, Barra, I mean, it's up for grabs.
Who is a top four team?
Exactly. At the moment,
let me ask you.
It's a raffle.
So you got Sydney. Who else?
You'd like to. Collingwood's playing well enough. They're just decimated.
Collingwood, they're ninth, mate.
Yeah, I know. Melbourne's 10th. The Dogs are in some form. My boys might sneak in. Hawthorn, you never know.
But who's going to be top four?
I'm going to say GWS.
Right.
I'm going to say GWS. I guess I still think Port will get there.
Port, 3. And then what, Carlton 4? Or Fremantle?
I'll tell you what, I'd like to put my pre-season premiership tip in there, but when you lose by 92 points...
They're 10th. They're 10th.
I know. Let's slot Fremantle in there.
I reckon Fremantle's, they're the one to look at now. The ceiling is so high now. They can really just... I mean, if they flick the switch the way they have now, and they've got bugger all injuries...
Well, now I just wanted to say, you'd like Gold Coast are now 8th. So there's 7 zip at home and zip 5 away. They are two completely different teams.
Schizophrenic.
A bit like West Coast were, home and away. So if they can get their road form right, they'd be a silly chance because they're not without talent. And I just wanted to mention my boys because a good effort by Hawthorn. Well done to Jack Ginnivan in his 250th game. And Massimo D'Ambrosio, Barra. Mate, he's now the number one rated winger in the competition. Did you know that?
Mate, you haven't mentioned the main dude.
Will Day.
D. Moore.
Oh, Dylan Moore. Yeah, I'll mention him in a minute. But
Dylan Moore, mate, he's best on ground.
Building up. Yeah, 10 coaches
Building up. He kicked 5, you know.
10 coaches, votes.
5
He's had
goals.
a good year. He's
5
had a very
goals.
good year.
I've never seen a little bloke kick 5 goals like that.
Yes, you have. Actually, you're right. He sort of played like a full forward, didn't he?
I'd never heard of him. Who's this bloke?
Have you heard of Dylan Moore?
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not exactly buddy
he's
Willie
had
Rioli
he's had
or
a pretty
buddy,
good year.
You know, Cyril Rioli. Fair income.
No,
mate, where's it? And what's his history? It's like some weird history.
He
played a lot of footy. Played cricket.
Yeah, and he came through and it was all going to be cut. But he had a really good pre-season and just convinced them not to cut him. This is about 4 years ago now. So, and he's been really stalwart. When not injured, he's just been one of the first picked in that side and really gives them something in that forward line. So well done.
Yeah, he's in all Australian form.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Mate, it's actually incredible. It is actually incredible that a bloke called Dylan Moore, who saved his career in the space of 2 hours in front of 2,000 people in 2020. Apparently, that's what he was playing.
There you go, yeah.
Where was he playing? He was playing in somewhere and had 25 disposals, kicked 5 goals, and they went, you know what? Let's keep this kid. He's got some weird background too, mate. That is just a really incredible, great story for the Hawthorn footy. And your coach suddenly looking like a genius.
Well, it's a long way to go,
And how bad's Adelaide?
They lost 10 in a row at the MCG too, Adelaide. They don't like playing there. Hey, I'll just mention...
I reckon Dan Curtin would be going, you know what? Am I in the right spot here?
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Oh, it's a bit early. I think...
But do you reckon he'd be thinking that?
Give him a chance. Oh, early he'd be thinking, well, yeah, absolutely.
Because he's not playing either.
Yeah.
So he's like, what's happening here?
Yeah, particularly in that team at the moment. So I mentioned Ambrosio before. Can you believe he's the number 1 rated winger in the comp? Good player, uses the footy well.
Yep.
Who's number 2? It's
the bloke at the Dockers?
Top 5. Number 2's Errol Goulden, which you would think that's fair enough. I'll give you 4 and 5. So 4 is Akers and Josh Dacos is number 5. Who's number 3?
It's not the Docker bloke, is
No,
it?
it's Clohesy at Gold Coast.
Ah.
So going all right, Gold Coast. They've just got to get that form away from home, don't they? And then they might be...
Well, they're in the 8, which is they'd be pretty... They've never played finals. I'd love to see them play finals.
So Dimmer, big tick for him if they play finals. If they don't play finals, is that a failure for him in his first year there?
I don't know. Do they get a home final? They'd have to finish, 6 or 7, would they?
Yeah.
So they'd have to go up a bit. So that would be pretty cool. I'll tell you what was really good too was the ground. I mean, I love the Gold Coast ground, but the one in Alice was spectacular.
Oh yeah,
Have you been there?
I have.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah.
So it is look fantastic.
So how is it when you're kicking out from full back and you see? So
what's that mountain range there?
Okay, that's called. That's where the Eastern McDonald Ranges meet the Western McDonald Ranges.
Right.
And the gap in the middle is called Heavy Tree Gap. So
Really?
yeah, I've camped there. There's a camping ground at Heavy Tree Gap, and when you go, so if you as you're facing it, so the Western McDonald Ranges, you turn right. That's where Glen Helen Gorge and Namatjira's Ghost Gums and all that famous stuff is down there. And around that area, you've got things like Stanley Chasm and Simpson's Gap, really historic geographical
And the
features.
Rock's just round the corner, isn't it?
About
400 k's.
No, it's about 4 or 5 hours, yeah. But it's a great drive.
My first time I went to Alice, I don't know how I laboured it. I was
Beautiful city.
Am I the only one who thought that the Rock was just in an outer suburb of Alice?
No.
Because I thought, this is great. When are we going to the Rock? Tomorrow, and it'll take 4 or 5 hours to get there and back. Now, what are you talking about?
It's a great drive into Uluru for the first time when you haven't seen it before.
When you draw in the corner, you go,
Yeah, well, but no, because everyone thinks Mount Connor is Ayers Rock.
That's right. Yeah.
Because there's another mountain range. And
Hey, that's not that big.
Yeah, that's right. But I tell you what, when you get to, and you finally see this little pebble on the horizon, which is Uluru, and you get closer and closer. And I reckon it's not till the next morning when you stay there and you get out of your tent or wherever you are and you go, whoa, geez, that is big.
a big bastard.
Oh, it's a big
And you
rock.
say, I'm just going to I'm going to jog around it. You go, you what?
I've walked
See
around
you
it.
3 days.
Yeah, I've walked around it.
Have you?
Yeah, it's a great walk.
How long did that take?
It's a few hours, but it's
Yeah.
not as long as you think. It's just a really good. What did you see the players when they flew in? Did the big aerial shot of Uluru too?
Mate, I tell you what, I hand it to the Dockers. They've really embraced that whole world. See, they're looking at the academies, perhaps of getting players out of that. And I saw their chairman, Chris, he's a fantastic guy. He runs the ports, really good guy. And Chris Sutherland, isn't it?
Yep.
And he was saying that, like, I think it's in your paper today.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
If we go there and bring players back, we need protection. We don't want to spend all this money 3,000, for 3,000 kilometres away, or 300 k's north of Alice Springs. Yeah, so there's the Aripara Dockers. So my niece works in Alice Springs in this field, in the Indigenous field, and I was thinking of putting her onto this because if they start recruiting players, the Aripara Dockers, nearly 300 k's north of Alice Springs, hopefully you think the AFL will give them some protection, saying, look, if you do all the work there, you can.
Well, I reckon what's
reap
going
the benefits.
I reckon what's going to happen is academies will get you'll get protection. Probably definitely your first pick, and maybe your second pick. So at the moment, if it's taken in the first 40, there's no. If someone else takes one of your academy players, you can't match it. But they will be allowed that ability as of. I reckon they'll announce it later this year before the draft. So I think they'll get one, maybe two
Two,
protected. Yeah.
I'm so with Sutherland because he said he says allowing clubs to have unfiltered access to their academy players would encourage them to invest. And then he makes this brilliant point. He goes, it all goes to getting more resources on the ground in these regions. Part of it is developing talent and giving a kid, boy or girl, living in WA or in remote areas the same opportunity, and part of it is helping those communities as well. Mate, here.
And if they're not protected, what's the incentive to invest in your academy? There's none.
Exactly.
It'll happen.
Because there's been, who was the guy who got, the Dockers got a player pinched as well, and the Eagles got Lance Collard picked. There's been 4 or 5, so... let's hope that happens, eh?
So the Barra and Quarters game tipping competition, the weekly winner this week is Imdaman, who with 64, who got 7. Imdaman 64, who got 7 correct. The overall leader is Fanaron with 77 in total. 7 correct last week.
That's all of them.
Yeah, it's
unbelievable.
unbelievable.
Was there only 7 games?
Unbelievable effort.
How did he do that?
Well, he just picked all 7.
Mate, he must have gone for spec.
So Barra, you got 4, and you've clawed me back by 1. I had a shocker. I had 3, and one of those was Hawthorn. So go figure.
I can't believe I didn't tip Carlton in the end.
Now, Barra, it's time for this.
Saddle up your camel. It's time for the Thirsty Camel mailbag.
Yes, thank you to Thirsty Camel. This week's special, Shivers Regal 12-year-old Scotch, only $49.99. That's good value. This week we have a $50 gift voucher to give away thanks to Thirsty Camel. Get your questions for Thursday or for next week to quartersandbarra@wanews.com.au. Hey guys, I can't stand watching St Kilda play, but I'm obsessed with watching Ross Lyon post-match presses, win or lose. You can imagine my surprise when I tuned in and Corey Enright was taking the questions. Do you have any insight into this? Was it leftover angst from the West, literally putting his head in a noose on the back page? Thanks, from Jake in Bassendean. Jake, I can inform you on that one. He was really, really crook. He actually coached under a bit of duress, but basically didn't have much of a voice at the end, and that's why he didn't front the media. And I think we'll give him an out for that one because I think he pretty much shows up when he's meant to most of the time. So,
do you reckon that the pressure might be getting to him a bit?
Oh no, he was genuinely ill.
I know. I'm not talking about that. Though. I'm just saying. Do you think? Because surely now,
I'm not sure about him, but Alistair Clarkson, I think it is.
They're in the bottom 4 now.
Mm.
I mean, they did have a win, but who filled in for him? Did you say?
Corey Enright,
the
assistant coach. So he just did the presser post-match, which is not ideal, but when you're sick, Barra.
He should have pulled out some of those classics like. When
you can't buy your confidence at a corner store. Let the cobblers do the cobbling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's his other famous one? Oh, it's never as good as it seems, and never as bad as it.
It's not a bad line.
Which is absolutely true. I remember he was talking about Barramundi Bowl at the Sea Salt Fish and Chips, best in Carlton. Have you been there, mate? The Sea Salt Fish and Chips, best in Carlton.
No. Can't say I have.
Must be beyond your budget, was it? Or?
Oh, yeah. I'm just a battler.
He said he's like the racehorse Might and Power. Just give him a tickle on the ribs and away he goes.
That's right.
Who did he say that about?
Pav.
Mate, you're good. You are good.
Righto. G'day, boys. Just thought I'd share a story my old man told me many years ago that hit home after North Melbourne's victory in the final round last year. His story goes back to his college days in Philadelphia in 1969. The home team, the Philadelphia Eagles of the NFL, were roundly chastised from pillar to post by the whole city for having the temerity to win the last game of the season against a fellow cellar dweller, thus losing the rights to the highly touted number 1 draft pick. The College Star and unanimous number 1 draft pick was on the back page of every paper. His name? O.J. Simpson. On another note, let's change the rules to allow Harley to win the Rising Star Award. It's not as if he's committed murder. That's from Craig in City Beach. I agree with them tweaking the rules, but not this year. I don't like changing stuff mid-season, which is the interpretation of holding the ball too, Barra. I think it actually had a bit of a positive effect on the comp. I just don't like mid-year tweaks. Do it at the end of the year.
So it went from 8 holding the ball decisions to 11 now because of the rule changes per match. Is that what you want, I suppose?
Well, it's forcing players to sort of move the ball on, and so it definitely helped with the flow of the game, I reckon, at the weekend. So as much as I'm against mid-season tweaks, it's actually, I've got to say, against my argument, I think it helped improve the game. So don't you agree?
Yeah, and well, It's just the congestion that just so worries me, but that's why handball's become so important. That's why the Dockers flourish now when they start getting, because they're a big handballing team, once they get that going.
Yeah, but I thought that the weekend, because that Traeger Park's a very, very big ground.
Yeah.
They used that ground really well. So they actually did kick laterally. And when they were ready to pull the trigger, they went corridor. But I thought that has brought them unstuck at times this year, that muck and round. But I thought it was really smart footy at the weekend by them.
Yeah,
and Melbourne aren't fit. They don't look fit.
No, but that's what I thought. Maybe he was doing one of those big mid-season campaigns and hammering them mid-season and then bringing them back for the finals. But because I saw Gore nearly threw up after the last throw in.
I had to ring Craig O'Donoghue was there covering it, and I rang him and I said, "Mate, how hot is it?" Because it looked like they were just heat fatigued. 18 degrees, no wind, beautiful conditions.
I think we'll find out. They got a massive game this week, haven't they?
Collingwood.
Yeah, on Monday.
Yep.
The big Easter Monday.
Oh, it's
not
huge.
Easter Monday. What's it called? King's birthday.
There's got to be a response. There has to be.
If they don't, that tells you something. But Collingwood's so beaten up, aren't they?
And mind you, they were pretty ordinary over here a few weeks ago, Melbourne. So it's not as if it's a one-off.
No, well, they did lose to the Eagles. Yeah.
It's not a 90. 92 points is 92 points. But Collingwood, what I will mention, mate, can I just say this? It was a great win by the Western Bulldogs, so I'm not taking anything away from them. Marcus Bonampelli was huge. Treloar was huge. Darcy was great. But I came away with that game with more admiration from the Pies than I did for the Bulldogs.
In what sense?
Oh, I thought it was a sensational effort with half a team.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were in it right up until about the last 5 minutes, and I thought, you know what, I hate to say it, but they grew in admiration in front of me, and I just thought, well done. If they had, numbers... If they get numbers back, then they're going to...
They'll charge home.
Yeah,
so that's going to be the worry, because Collingwood will almost certainly make the 8. And will Melbourne?
You would hope so.
All right, so they're both out of the 8. So who gets kicked out of the 8? Maybe Gold Coast?
Maybe.
Who else?
Well, the way Freo's playing, you would say probably not Freo. What about Geelong? Are they a sneaky chance to tumble? Because they've not been good.
Jeepers.
They've worked Tom Stewart out now.
Well, Essendon don't leave Melbourne.
By the way, Max Holmes is having a ripper year.
We should have mentioned Max Holmes.
Well, I just did.
Mate, yeah. He's like that Moore bloke. Mate, how good's he going? No, the Holmesy, where's he come from? Mate, so Essendon don't leave Victoria for the rest of the year, right?
Oh.
So that's Gonski.
Yeah.
And Geelong, I think, have got a very similar scenario as well. I think they play Sydney this week, and then after that, they're Sweets.
Essendon's fixture is pretty tough, even though they don't leave home, though. I think they've got some tough games ahead, yeah. We'll see
but you'd be big for them to slide out. So
they're not. I don't think Essendon will slide.
And so you're riding off the Bulldogs for the 8 then? I'll tell you what.
Form's been pretty good.
Is there anyone else that you'd rather win the Brownlow than Bont?
No.
Honestly?
No.
Mate, I love that guy.
I'd love him to win it.
He's just he's class personified, just a great guy. He should have won one already.
Sorry, mate, should have won one last year.
Yeah, and I'd love to see...
Nothing against Lockie Neal.
And nothing against Heaney or Sarong.
Chad Warner.
Or Chatty Warner. But the Bont, let's get the Bont up, for God's sake. Please, the Bont. I mean, he was magnificent in that game.
Well, he just keeps doing it year after year. He's just such a great prototype shaped player. He's just a wonderful footballer. Hi, Quarters and Barra. Is it true you might do for your audience a mid-year, the Game AFL podcast with Quarters and Barra pantomime? Oh, no, you won't. Oh, yes, you will. Oh, no, you won't. That's from Andrew. That's quite clever, Andrew. I'm not sure if we're going to do a pantomime.
Who's on first? What about we do that one? Who's on first? Have you heard that?
We'll have a think about it, Andrew. Thanks for the suggestion. High Quarters and Barra, with the Harley Reed suspension being the latest in terms of affecting a player's eligibility for awards, I have a possible solution. The awards are for the best and fairest, and historically, any suspension leads to a player not being considered fair. Modern football with new rules, endless cameras, views and reviews means that incidents would have been considered minor 20 years ago are now met with multiple week suspensions. How about if those incidents deemed careless but still resulting in a suspension don't affect a player's eligibility, but those deemed as intentional do? This will allow the MRO to go soft on a player who was a Brownlow chance late in the season but still hand him a suspension. Cheers. That's Juice from Scarborough. Not bad.
Well, just explain that again.
Oh, I don't read it out again. He's just saying that you, if it's deemed careless but resulting in a suspension, it doesn't affect a player's eligibility, but those deemed as intentional do. So he's saying the difference between careless and intentional.
Yeah. Well, so mate, that's the redefining fairest. Maybe that's the way to do it.
So that's what you want to do.
Yeah. But intentional. So maybe the intentional thing. So was Harley's intentional or not?
It was just a crude tackle. I don't think he actually entered the tackle thinking, I want to hurt this bloke. But I think it was a very poor tackle. And he's lucky the guy wasn't injured more.
He's obviously a little bit frustrated too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But the guy did try to
Might have been a GST on it, yeah.
But the bloke tried to step him. So when your bloke steps you and you do get him, you do try to.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you? What would he have had to have done? Just held him.
Well, there was a bit in it. Like there was a bit whipping action, wasn't there? So I don't know.
I tell you what didn't help was in the background. You see a couple of the Eagles staff members. Their reaction. Have you seen it? When you see the vision again, have a look.
They look a bit worried.
I think one of them puts a hand on her mouth and go, oh. It's
incriminating.
Probably not going to help.
No. Hi, Quarters and Barra. Have you noticed both SA clubs' ongoing favourable draw? They both have home Thursday night games over the next fortnight. This was from late last week. Is the AFL sleeping with the Malinowskis government? The gather round appears to be the gift that just keeps giving. Well, they have had a pretty good run in Adelaide, haven't they?
Mate, no doubt about that. Hey, I got some info for you.
Okay.
So the McKernan, when he missed out on the Brownlow,
yep,
he was in a tie with Voss and Hurd. Do you know that?
Yeah.
The 1996 Brownlow medal.
I kind of like that because for Voss and Hurd, it means it's not shallow. They deserve the victory as much as he did.
And the other bloke we're talking about, Chris Grant.
Well, that was when Harvey won, I reckon.
Harvey, yeah, you're right.
And Harvey's words were...
And he's no mug.
Famous quote after that, it's a bit of a hollow victory.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
So that'll be Wardlaw's speech.
And McKernan also missed out on the Rising Star, as well as the Brownlow, I'm pretty sure.
Did he?
Yeah.
Mate, hopefully Wardlaw's smart enough to say, obviously Harley and Darcy weren't here, but thanks for the award, and it's
he hasn't won it yet. There's a few other contenders.
Wilson, who else?
There's a few.
Got anyone else?
Those two are probably leading the charge at the moment. Anyway, you have been listening to Quarters and Barra. We have been brought to you by Tab Touch. Got the touch? Download the Tab Touch app today. Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Thank you for listening. Thanks, Barra. Let's hope that I can get more than 3 tips right on Thursday.
It's all about you, mate. Mm-hmm. Look, I just want to send a cheerio to and best wishes to the great John Todd. Bit frail at the moment.
Okay. Great man, Toddy.
Yeah, on behalf of you and I, one of the great footy people, could have been the greatest player of all time until he did his knee. And that's
in his first season as a 17-year-old.
Yeah, and now would have had surgery and been sweet and would have played 300 and been, was just amazing.
Sandover medalist, West Coast Eagles coach, legendary WA coach and waffle coach.
4 premiers. I think it was 4 premiers.
Always very giving of his time as well when you're talking about waffle, WA footy and stories.
Coached in 1974 East Fremantle premiership. That was his first one. Then he coached the 3-peat, of course, at bloody Swan Districts, and went to West Coast and was a huge servant of the game. We love you, Toddy. Sending all our best, mate.